Welcome to the Dream, Plan, Start, Grow podcast hosted by Allison Turner. In each episode, we interview real, everyday entrepreneurs to learn how they got their start, what challenges they faced and overcame when starting the business, and what successes each has had. Welcome to the Dream, Plan, Start, Grow podcast. We've created this podcast, or I've created this podcast really for one thing, and that is to share entrepreneurial journeys with everyone. And not necessarily the entire journey, but the journey from the time that person became an entrepreneur, what prompted them to become an entrepreneur, and what they did to continue that journey. So what challenges they had, what successes they had early on, and any tips they might provide us and what helped them. Today, we are hosting Jamie Mackey.
That's me.
Who I personally know, and she got thrown into entrepreneurship during the pandemic. So the pandemic hit. She was working for an event planning company. Obviously, there were no events for a long time. She got laid off, so to speak. And she became an entrepreneur. Poof. How did you know what you wanted to do when all this hit?
Oh, I didn't. I think that's like maybe the secret sauce of entrepreneurism or whatever. You just have to be open to what comes next, right? Because I certainly wasn't expecting to be out of a job when I was. I wasn't expecting that all of my skill sets, whether it was event planning, before that I was teaching elementary art. And then I have a very long background in bartending, and none of those things were happening during the pandemic. So what was I going to do next? I didn't have a plan. I spent a lot of time just sitting there on the computer, sending out resumes on Indeed for remote work that everybody else was applying for as well. Mm-hmm. My opportunities literally fell into my lap.
That's awesome, because I know that doesn't happen for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, were there moments of anxiety when all this first hit?
Oh, yes. I would say I was living in a very high dose of anxiety the whole time. It was my first pandemic, long time listener, first time caller. My first experience with a pandemic, we didn't know what to expect. You're just watching the news and seeing the numbers come in, and, everybody's trying to figure out how to navigate it. So that was anxiety driven. I probably didn't leave the house for 4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. I have a history of being sick all the time. I had a very terrible immune system, and I was like, I can't go out there. I don't know what's going to happen. So that was anxiety driven. Not having a job, not having an income was anxiety driven. My brother had just gotten married the week before the world shut down. And I donated a generous amount to his wedding. He's my brother, I love him. With the intent that I'm going to build my nest egg back up, and that didn't happen. So I literally blew my nest egg, got laid off, and then had to figure it out in a brand new world. So navigating that terrain was very stressful. My husband going to work every day and coming home and navigating how to handle that transition was very stressful. My family was in New Jersey. That was very stressful. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of anxiety involved, which I guess is how I found the CBD industry, because I was just how do I navigate this for myself? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I know you're in two very distant industries.
Yeah.
CBD and property management.
Yeah.
And you just said a couple minutes ago that they both fell into your lap. Mm-hmm. So maybe speak about the CBD. I know more about that story. Maybe speak about that part first, and how that, since you just referenced it, kind of fell into your lap, and how you started then selling it.
I think that might actually be the order in which I started both of them, actually. So that's a good transition. Well, I've actually lived with pain in my hands for a really long time. Most people who know me personally know me as like the crocheter. Like I have done many things in my life, but the one constant thing was I was always crocheting and creating whatever anyone sent to me. Can you make this blanket for this baby? Can you make this doll for this birthday? Kids' hats. And then I dove deep into just being a fiber artist and making my own sculptures that looked like small succulents. And sometimes there were very big succulents and cacti. And they're all made out of thousands of tiny knots. And that's like hours and hours of those of you who are going to watch this on the video are going to see like I like just crunching my shoulders back and forth and my arms. And I just didn't have a good posture. So probably 20 years of doing that gave me multiple repetitive motion injuries. So really, before I was looking for anything for my anxiety, I was looking for something for my pain because I was taking a really high dose of ibuprofen every day. And that wasn't taking away the pain, and I was starting to get really severe stomach problems.
Which will happen.
Yeah, that'll happen. Do your research before you start taking things. So I was literally just looking for something for that. I saw my friend on Instagram. You know, I'm home in the pandemic, scrolling on Instagram. Is what else am I doing besides applying to jobs? And I saw my friend giving this, rubbing this lotion on her husband's back or giving CBD to her kids or her posting about how it was helping her with anxiety. And it's when she started posting that she was giving it to her kids that I was like, what are you doing, you insane person? Like, giving drugs to your kids? And she took the time to explain to me, like, you have to make sure you're getting your CBD from a safe place and know what you're taking and make sure you can see the results and all those things. So I said, okay, I'll stop judging you, but can you send me that lotion you're giving to your husband? That would be great. And that's how I fell into the CBD industry. That's the first time that I personally felt any relief from this throbbing pain in my hands and my wrists and my elbows and my shoulders and my neck. And I had to be a part of it. And I'm not a numbers person, but Johnny, my husband, like the moment he took a look at like what the industry was doing, he was like, yeah, this is probably a good idea. So that's how I got into CBD. And now I get to help people who are going through things like I was, that's my jam. I'm not money motivated, but I am like serving motivated. So I would always put other people's things before mine. Mm-hmm. So now I get to kind of like combine those two things.
Well, and I think really that's nice. An important thing in business because I find if like an entrepreneur starts a business and they're money focused and that's like why they started the business is like, oh, I should get into the CBD industry or whatever.
It'd be a good investment.
Because exactly. Because, it's going to make me a lot of money. Then they're really not coming from the right place.
Yeah.
And eventually they're probably not going to do what they think they're going to do because there's not going to be any passion in it for them.
Yeah.
There really has to be that passion to accelerate your business.
Yeah.
And keep you interested because otherwise people get bored and like, why isn't it taking off more quickly? What's going on?
Yeah, you're focused on the wrong things. Yeah.
So being able to serve people like you are, then that's bringing in the money on the back end.
Yeah.
And helping both of you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's a win-win. It really is. And then I kind of fill that bucket as well with property management. I help take care of people's homes while they're away. We're in Florida. Mm-hmm. In the area that we're in, there's a lot of snowbirds, as we like to call them. So there's a lot of second homes down here. So while people are living in their state, that's not Florida, I watch over their homes. And that fell into my lap as well. I'm very, very grateful. Johnny's in the home, he's in water, fire, and mold restoration, emergency services. And he had a client who had an immense loss. People don't realize that the batteries in your thermostat can die.
Yep.
And if you're not in your home for a few months,
you get a little hot.
Yeah, it could get a little hot, moist in there. So like to the tune of like $70,000+ worth of damage.
That's
and
scary.
on your homeowner's insurance, this is a fun fact. If you're out of your home for 14 days or more, it's considered negligence. So that affects your,
Really?
yeah.
I did not know that.
Affects your payout or how much that they'll reimburse you, et cetera. So
I read the fine print.
read it. So that's where I come in. So he said, I have this client. She inquired with me if I knew anybody who would watch her home while she's gone. Are you interested in this? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll give it a try. And I was actually, the reason that conversation came up was because we had a neighbor across the street from us who had to relocate his mom into a facility to take care of her. And he lived in Arizona, and he asked if we could watch the home. And I'm just like an overachiever. I made a calendar and a spreadsheet, and I would go once a week and check everything out. And they actually had their batteries in their thermostat die too. So he was like, you're kind of already doing it. Would you be interested in maybe starting your own business? I have this client ready to go. I said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. And that was my first client, and I had systems already in place for it. I made everything official, and now I get to help so many different families in that aspect too. So that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get your clients now? Through Johnny or?
He hasn't passed me any more leads after that one, but I do a lot of work with realtors. I like to call myself a realtor's best friend because a lot of property managers that deal with tenants, you have to be a licensed real estate agent in order to be a property manager for that type of dwelling that has tenants in it. I'm not a licensed real estate agent, so I can't deal with tenants. So I kind of help realtors keep their clients in place. Purchase from you as a real estate agent, you send them to me, I take care of them. When they're ready to buy another property or sell their property, they come back to you. Instead of me being a real estate agent and now I'm their property manager, now they're more likely to call me for that listing. So I get a lot of referrals from real estate agents. I do my networking groups, I'm always trying to go out and meet new people and make new friends. I've been described as aggressively friendly. So
it's an interesting term.
I know.
Aggressively friendly.
South Jersey Italian girl,
So let's talk relationships. Since you said I like to, you go out and network a lot.
Yeah.
Like how much of your business has been built on building relationships?
All of it. Every last bit of it. Yeah.
So has it been mainly in person? Is some of it online? Like where do you feel like most of your business has gotten built from? Or is it like a split?
I think because of the times right now, most of it has been online, especially in the CBD arena. With that, I personally share my personal journey about CBD and information about it. Maybe I share someone else's story with their permission. And, you're scrolling on Facebook or Instagram, your friend shares their thing that they've gotten at Starbucks. And you're like, how do I order that one? That one looks really good, or they're sharing their favorite laundry detergent. Like I was just asking people for their suggestions on laundry detergent the other day. Like we're sourcing our community more and more for things. So I just share what I'm going through, my experiences. So most of my CBD business has come from that.
Okay.
I also like to do in-person events. Those are very fun. But the last year has waxed and waned on what was safe and what wasn't. So I try not to do anything that makes anyone feel uncomfortable or unsafe out there in the world while we're trying to figure out this post-quarantine life. But then on the property management end, I do in-person networking events, chamber events. We've met through the chamber, I think, or one chamber.
Yeah, I'm not sure where, because I know I may have met Johnny first.
Everybody.
I don't know. Remember if it was a chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
Which one of you?
The banana or the split?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, for property management, it's mostly in-person networking groups. Some of them are still on Zoom, but chamber events have been very useful in introducing me to different real estate agents and stuff like that.
So what's been your greatest challenge, with the new businesses?
Figuring it out.
There's no playbook, is there?
There is and there isn't. There's so much information out there on how to do it. So you could start anything you want, anything. And there's somebody out there that'll tell you for free on YouTube how to do it, or sell you their course, or, you could go on somebody's website and just look at what they did and figure it out from there, kind of like deconstruct the pattern. But then there's so much information out there that you're like, where do I start? So it's almost information overload. So for me, my biggest challenge was just like actually doing it. I have this thing, I'm sure a lot of people know it as like imposter syndrome. And I call it that chatter that like, it won't stop talking in your head, right? And my phrase that I always hear would be like, you don't know enough about that yet. And that's the thing that held me back the most. And I'd be like, okay, I've got to research it more. I got to look it up more. I got to see what they're doing. And then you start seeing what other people are doing. And then you're comparing yourself to them. And comparison is like, what do they say is like the killer of productivity or
yeah, something like that.
Comparison is the destroyer of joy or something. The destroyer of joy. I'm imagining like a Marvel character, like annihilating some joy. But that was my biggest hurdle, was just now when I hear myself think, you don't know enough about that yet, I'm like, well, we're going to try anyway. And that's my cue to do some maybe some just imperfect moves. Maybe it won't work. Maybe it will. But I'll figure it out along the way. And I think figuring it out along the way is so much more useful than reading 4 blog posts about it or watching another training for the 3rd time because it just didn't quite stick the first time,
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think, business owners often get that, or especially new ones, that analysis by paralysis or analysis.
Yes.
Paralysis by analysis. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reverse it. Because there's so much, they're used to
So much
whatever
of it.
job they had, and here's what they did. Here's your job description.
Yep.
And you fit into the little box right here. And you don't need to go over to this box over here because this person's doing this box. And now all of a sudden you're doing all the boxes. You're
everything.
You're the accountant, you're the marketer, you're
whole
the
shebang.
CEO, you're the salesperson, like you're everything.
Yeah.
The fulfiller, depending on what you're fulfilling. So you're everything.
All
And
of
then
it.
people are like, oh crap, like what? I mean, I remember like back when I first started the company with a business partner, she's like, oh, you go out and network. And I was like, what do you mean me go out and network? You're like the extrovert. I'm the introvert. I'd rather be at home. She's like, no, you go out. And so she was kind of the closer in the sales side.
Yeah.
So I would network, I would build the relationships, and I would bring people in, and
You
then
both
she
kinda
would
had
be
your
that
roles.
closer. Well, we ended up not being good in business. So when she left the company in 2014, I was like, oh crap, I gotta be the closer. I'm like, what am I doing now?
It's me now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
figure this
okay,
out.
I guess if you want to eat, you better figure this out quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's always a challenge, and you're always growing. And I find that mindset's one of the most important things.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that gets overlooked. And people are like, oh yeah, I can go start my own business, and I make my own hours, and I can do this.
Seems
and
like
that,
a dream.
And I can do it part-time if I want. I can do it full-time. And then they get there and they're like, oh, wait a minute. Did I make the right move here? I just invested all this money. But mindset, so you mentioned the imposter syndrome is such a key piece in business, and continuing to grow that mindset, or to continue to develop yourself personally.
Yeah.
Because it can't just be, even if you come in with a pretty clear vision and pretty good mindset, or, confidence level, whatever you want to call it, there's always going to be something that's going to trip you up because you didn't expect it. There's something that comes out of left field and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? What's that? Like the pandemic came out of left field, like no one expected it. And then all of a sudden, I feel bad for the really new business owners that it just started, especially restaurants and things like that, because, there was no, they didn't even have necessarily a huge following yet. And now there's no precedent of what you do here. Yeah. And everything's gone online. Well, obviously a restaurant can't really go online.
No.
I mean, luckily they had takeout, and some of the laws relaxed a little bit on some of that, but I find that's one of the greatest challenges. So what do you do from a personal development standpoint like that helps you in business and life in general?
I am obsessed with self-development books. I am obsessed. I had to actually put a moratorium on reading them for a while because I just feel like I was overloading myself. Every time somebody suggests a new book to me, I'm like, oh, put it on my Audible list and use one of my credits on that. But I find the thing that is really helping me hit a stride or keep me productive or brings me the most joy is connecting with other people.
Okay.
I guess accountability buddies. So within my business organization, I have accountability buddies, and maybe we're on the same level of what I would describe as an org chart, for lack of a better description. So we're there to check in with each other, share graphics or information, all those things. That's one thing that I wasn't expecting to come with the CBD industry was the incredible community that's there. Mm-hmm. So I have great accountability buddies there. I work with a friend who does accountability coaching, and she also has been very helpful with keeping me on track. Mm-hmm. And then just networking and hanging out with great people like you. You are such a badass business babe, and just hanging out around you is man, I gotta get on Allison's level. She's killing it.
Oh, so are you.
Thank you.
I find that people, you have to attract that energy too. And
yeah.
I mean, and also, there's people that are in your life that are pulling it a different way, whatever that is. Sometimes they may have been in your life for a reason at the time, and maybe they are no longer in your life for other reasons.
Yeah.
So I find that you have to kind of continue to grow that circle as well. I mean, they always say, who is it? I'm trying to think who said it. Was it Napoleon Hill? I don't know. Whoever said it,
you're the sum of your five closest friends.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was Napoleon Hill because I probably read Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, no, I read that
a million
a while ago, and I need to actually reread it. But it's on the list.
It's good to read it through and then just bookmark on Audible, so you can like go back and it can just like whisper in your ear.
I didn't know you could bookmark on Audible.
You can.
Ooh.
I think you can like clip it.
Oh, okay. So kind of like Clubhouse, you can clip 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, I think it's similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't actually gone back and listened to what I've clipped, but I like clip it. I'm like, I have all these clips in my library.
For when you do think about it.
Yeah. When I go back and I'm like, where was that? Like, how far back is it?
Swipe. But yeah, you are the sum total of your five closest friends. And I learned that the hard way. You know, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't moving forward. And then I took a look at the people that I was hanging around with the most, you know, and they were great friends, great memories, and, you know, still friendly with a lot of them. But I definitely find myself more in circles where people are talking more about ideas and strategies and sharing information.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now, I know Johnny owns his own business, your husband, so obviously this may be kind of a moot question or moot point in your situation, but I find that sometimes people get into business for themselves and maybe the spouse is working like in a 9-to-5 job, and all of a sudden the dynamic shifts a little bit. Mm-hmm. So Johnny's probably out of your house a lot more than maybe you are.
Oh yeah.
But did anything shift at all when you went into business for yourself, or has there ever been any challenges or any enhancements because of like you're both in business for yourselves?
The shift that had to happen was me being open to his suggestions. He's such an amazing business person and marketing, and he has so much knowledge. But I think it was just too close to home when I first started, and I was just really insecure about what I was doing. Not that he was delivering a message in a certain way. So just getting over shifting my insecurities and being open to his suggestions, and he learned how I communicate.
Right.
And how to allow me to be open to suggestions. That was a shift. And also I had to figure out how to balance working from home and being at home. Mm-hmm. You know, like I carved out an office space. I have my little space, and it's a perfect little room for me to like tuck away. event materials and do my computer work, whatever. I do more things than that, but I told you earlier, like sometimes words just like won't, they're in the brain, they're just hiding. But before that, it was like, oh, I'll sit on the couch and I'll do this. Or, I'll sit at the kitchen table. And then those areas became my office. And then I didn't have anywhere to relax. Or I'd say, let me just throw in a load of laundry before I do this. Get to those dishes. Or just having laundry and dishes to do was weighing on me. That I was having a hard time balancing, well, should I just do a cleaning day today or should I do my back office stuff today? So I had to really get focused with how to spend the time in my day around that. And with Johnny, sometimes he'll say, like, what are you doing today? And I'm like, working. Like,
what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Is that a trick
Do you
question?
want a list of the things I'm doing today? But I'm sure that's just like a kind question. But sometimes I'm like, I know I'm home, but I'm not home. Like, don't ask me to do any home stuff until you get home. So
I'm not doing your laundry right now.
Yeah. Could you? No, I'm working. But no, we have a good balance now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one of my challenges. I mean, I have a home office now. Right now, I don't have a computer I like to work at home. I mean, I have a laptop that does live at home most of the time, but I hate working on laptops. I prefer like my 27-inch iMac that's in here. So like it just kills my neck to like sit here and look at a laptop all day. And I used to use one and I'm like, oh no. So anyway, but my challenge was I'd be like, oh, I'm hungry. And I'm like, regardless of whether I was hungry or not, and at home you have like pretty much everything that's in your house that's open season for food. Here, at least, I can bring food here, but it's only like what's here. Otherwise, I got to physically go out of the building and purchase something if I want something different. So that was probably my greatest challenge because when Jack and I were dating, I had given up my office space at one point because I was this is when he still lived at his place and I lived in my place, and we had dogs. So I felt guilty leaving my dogs when I was out with him, like at his home. And then, so I ended up starting to work from home more. So I was like, well, no point in me paying for an office space.
Right.
And doing this. So I did that. And then it took us a while to find this space. So I was working from home. And then when he moved in with me, like we both had home offices. So then like, it was like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
So even during like the entire pandemic, like I always came here. Like he may work from home, which is fine. And it may work for him. But like for me, like I kept my routine, especially since a lot of other things weren't open and I wasn't getting like movement elsewhere. I couldn't go to networking events, or I couldn't just go out to dinner, or I couldn't go out to, when it first happened. And so for me, it was, and that's when all 3 dogs of mine started coming to work. So usually I just said Gracie here.
It's a good balance.
And then I was like, okay, well, you guys can just come to work with mom. And so we started doing that instead, because like, well, I can't talk to anyone else, or I can't see anyone else besides from afar. So I might as well have you guys here so I can talk to somebody, talking to my dogs. But that's, for me, that routine helps. Yeah. So I can understand like having a separate like workspace in your house. But, my biggest challenge is like how you shut it off. Like, do you ever have that challenge at night you're like, oh, I forgot to do that. And you're like, oh, the office is right in there. Let me just run over there and do it really quickly.
So like something that I have a completely hard time turning off is the work. I have always, I guess, been a hustler. So like my whole life, all I can remember is having multiple jobs. I think the only time I've ever had one job was when I was 14. It was my first job. I was waitressing. And then the moment I got my driver's license when I was 17, I picked up another job. And then I started crocheting like on the side. And I always had something going. Even like as I got older, I had my daytime job, but then I always had my bartending shifts. And then I had my orders that I was crocheting. So I never knew how to just sit and watch TV. I had never, until this year, until I gave up crocheting, which I had to do because I have all these injuries that I'm trying to alleviate. I I had to sit and watch TV for the first time. And I don't know if you've noticed this while I'm sitting here on camera, but I'm very fidgety. I should have like one of those fidget spinners that the kids have or something. I don't know how to just sit still. So, and before Johnny and I lived together, I would sit and watch TV, but I'd have the computer on my lap. I'd have a project that I was working on. And that's the norm for me. So he plays soccer usually 3 times a week. And I mean, I love spending time with him. Like, I'm pretty obsessed with him. And I think
You obsessed?
I think I give him like, I have to, when I realize I'm like word vomiting on him because I'm so excited to see him and tell him all the things, I like realize what I'm doing. And I'm like, I'm going to give you 20 minutes, a 20-minute break. But when that's over, I'm
Forget
back. But wait, what was I saying? He goes
Soccer.
out to soccer 3 nights a week. And I'm like, oh, good. Now I get to watch TV and work some more. Because that's just how I know to relax. And when he's there, I do feel guilty. Not because like maybe we're just watching TV and we're not having a conversation or something, but it's still time that we're spending together. And if your partner is sitting with you and watching a movie with you is different than your partner sitting with you watching a movie, but really they've been on their phone the whole time. So I try to be really conscious of that. But to answer your original question, it's very difficult for me to say, okay, this is done now. And now it's time to relax, or cook dinner and not listen to a training or a YouTube video or, I'm always somehow multitasking, answering a text for a client, which I think is very important. But it's extremely hard to shut it off. But sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to think like, instead of like, I'm ignoring my business at 7:30 at night after I've been working on it all day, what I'm doing is I'm practicing self-care.
Right.
And I have to keep reminding myself that, like, you're not failing as a business owner because you're not answering this text in the middle of the night or this email in the middle of the night or this inquiry that can absolutely, if it's an emergency, I'm going to answer it.
Right.
But if it's something that can wait till the morning, it can wait till the morning. And that's an act of self-love, I
mean, I think that's from a business side, one of my greatest challenges with the cell phone industry right now is because people think they can reach you at any given time.
You're so accessible.
Like, why didn't you pick the phone up? So.
I saw you post it on social media, but you didn't answer my text.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw that. I've seen those posts too. I'm like, but yeah, I mean, one of the things I did, which Jack and I disagree on, was when we made our last business cards, when we rebranded the company, BatCat Media Group last year, I took cell phones off the cards. Mm-hmm. Now, he doesn't like it. I said, well, as we grow and we get more calls and things like that, I'd rather it run through a phone system. So I have a voice over IP system and it has mailboxes. So like he has a mailbox, I have a mailbox. They can get to either of us.
Can those be forwarded to a cell phone?
Yeah, I mean, I have the main line forwarding to my cell phone at this point. So if, I'm out, like it will forward into my cell phone and I can choose to answer or not choose to answer.
That's great.
But
it's an option.
I chose to take it off. Obviously, there's still some of my clients that have it, but some of the newer ones, and I always have to remind myself, like when I, someone refers someone new to me, like, oh, like I called someone new that was a prospect today and about to pick up my phone because, I have the AirPods and like to call them and I'm like, oh, nope, got to pick this one up over here. Mm-hmm. So I have to remind myself to do that to kind of keep it that way.
Yeah. Do you find that as a hurdle or do you find that as a good boundary that you have?
I find it as a good boundary.
Yeah.
Because if it's an emergency, like your website's down, since we do websites, like that's different. Like if you want to text me that, but I mean, I have clients that'll be like, hey, can you update, this? And they'll text it to me. I'm like, hey, can you email it? Because I'm not necessarily the person, depending on what it is, not necessarily the person doing the work. Sometimes I'm sending it to my assistant.
Yeah.
So it's much easier for me to send it if it's in an email form. And I check my email a lot. Like when I'm here, I'm always on my email for the most part. So it's not like I'm not reachable via email. But yes, if you're texting me at 8:00 at night, then I'm probably not on my email. looking at it at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, except for a couple of nights this week, I was here till 9. But so I was looking at it.
Neither here nor there.
But yeah, but generally speaking, I'm not looking at it. So that's the, it's one of those things because you want that personal touch, but then you don't want people to take advantage because some people do. I mean, I remember I had a client when he and I were dating, and we had an appointment.
You and Jack, not you and your client.
Yeah, no. When Jack and I were dating, excuse me. Thank you for the clarification. And we were supposed to have an appointment at like 8 a.m. And I was staying out at his house, and all of a sudden, and I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb because at the time I had my like second cousin living with me, and she was like 19 or 20. And so I wanted her to be able to reach me just in case she needed to get a hold of me. So all of a sudden my phone goes off at like 1 a.m. I think this client texted me saying, hey, I can't meet at 1 a.m. And I'm like, who texts someone at 1 a.m? I don't care if you're up. Like, send me an email. Like, my email, I don't get notifications for emails. So, but I wanted the notifications for text in case the person staying at my house actually contacted me. So that's why my phone goes on Do Not Disturb from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. at this point.
I didn't know that the phone did that because, like, I turned my ringer off, but then I still get all the notifications. I didn't know until you told me. And do you remember? I was like, what is this Do Not Disturb? Thank God you can ask your phone things instead of searching through it. And I was like,
oh yeah, no, I love Do Not Disturb because you can schedule it. So if you
can,
I have mine scheduled. So mine's automatic, so I don't like manually go in. It's like, oh, it's 9 o'clock at night. Let me like turn it on. It like automatically goes on Do Not. This little moon thing pops up on the screen. Yeah. So and it says Do Not Disturb.
That moon is so soothing to my head now. When I see that, I'm like, oh, you're so.
So you can schedule. Like I just have it automatically scheduled from 9 to 9, and then if I want to, like I just put it on Do Not Disturb while we're doing this because they come through to my watch, and I was like, I don't need a phone call coming through to the watch.
So I don't have the watch thing.
Yeah, and I don't have this is just Wi-Fi, but it connects Bluetooth to my phone, and so stuff will vibrate here. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, we don't need that. So I just turn it on manually.
That was a huge hurdle for me because I'm easily distracted, and when I open my phone to check my calendar or answer a question or to specifically do anything, and I open it up and then there's those glaring notifications, and I open it up and it's on the last web page that I was and whatever, I get pulled. Usually it's a notification, and it's usually from my mom. But the Do Not Disturb has changed my productivity immensely. Because as I said, I don't know if I said it here. We had a conversation recently that most of my business is online. Right. And I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram. But when I'm getting those notifications on my phone, that takes me out of the task that I'm doing and that moment. So sometimes I was just like putting my phone in another room and doing all my Facebook and my Instagram on the laptop, just to focus. But having it on Do Not Disturb has
and you can
significantly
and you can make it so like emergency contacts can come through, which is what I like. So I have it like set for 9 to 9, and then certain people can come through. So Jack can come through if he was out. Sabrina can come through. I think my mom can come through. And that's maybe about it.
My mom's on my emergency contact list, but she's probably going to watch this and listen to this, but
she's a culprit.
She's the one.
One more question that I find important in business, and I want to see how you deal with it. Obviously, you're already in kind of a health industry with the CBD, but what else do you find helpful for you as an entrepreneur of kind of keeping that balance from a health side, whether it's working out, whether it's eating healthy or other supplements you take or anything else? Do you have any things that you use that are beneficial for you?
Yeah, it's all those things that you answered. You answered my
answered the question for
me. Thank you. Good night. It's all of those things. And I didn't do any of those things for a really long time. I would just obsess about work, and that wasn't good for anyone involved. But now I have a scheduled gym appointment with a trainer 2 times a week. I go to the gym almost every day.
Nice.
Even if it's just to like show up, stretch on the ground, and leave. I did something. And if I didn't go to the gym to do it, I wouldn't do it. In fact, I have my own little like baggie of like my own, you know, those, they call them booty bands. I've got my own you know, leg band, and I've got arm pulleys and my own mat. I bring all my own stuff because like I skeeve everything. A lot of people don't like masks. Masks was like the best thing that ever happened to me because things just gross me out. So I bring my own stuff so I could, and there are days when I'm like, I could just use all my own stuff here at home, but I won't.
Yeah, no.
I have every best intention to do the things at home, but as I said, I need the rest of my home to be my home. So even if it's just going to the gym, stretching, I have a warm-up routine. Yesterday, I just went to the gym and I did my, a triple long version of my warm-up routine. And that was enough to get my body moving, to crack a sweat and go home and feel like I accomplished something that day. So I do that. I am on a special elimination diet right now just to see what foods are triggering my hormonal migraines. But I'm, as Johnny pointed out the other day, I'm always on some kind of fun new diet. I like to liven things up, you know? Things get a little boring. Got to try new recipes. So I'm very health conscious about foods, even though I could just eat chocolate all day, every day. Chocolate and a plain loaf of bread. We're not allowed to have bread in our house because I could just polish one of those off. But
really,
I don't know why. Maybe it's like the Italian in me, and I just need bread and oil. That's all you need.
A little garlic.
A little bit of garlic. Stop. We can't go down this rabbit hole. So I try really hard to eat healthy, consciously, especially now that I'm trying to narrow down the hormonal migraines. And yeah, I take my vitamins. I think there's a song about that, but I'm not going to go into that. We'll have to pay somebody royalties for that during this. We won't do it. But yeah, I try really hard to focus on all those things and all those things in my mind now. Before they used to be a chore, like, oh, I gotta work out. Oh my God, I gotta meal prep. This is such a pain. But now in my mind, it's, as I touched on earlier, like these are all acts of self-love. And I have to like take a moment out of each of my days to date myself. You know, like you pour so much into your relationship, but then like how much do you pour back into yourself? So those are like my dates.
Yep.
Take myself out. Maybe I'll get a smoothie after the gym. Who knows?
Yeah, go wild.
You know,
and I find the gym's important too, because like I tried during the pandemic, I tried what you were talking about. I was like, oh, let me do one of these apps that you mirror up to the TV. And then I'm sitting there, I'm trying to look at the big, huge TV, and they're trying to tell you to do some downward dog thing. And I'm like, well, I can't see the TV.
And you're like looking through your
legs. So
I'm
trying to look at my
TV.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at my phone at that point, and then all of a sudden
the dogs
changes.
get involved, and it's a family affair.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
And you're doing that 75 hard now. I saw your update.
Yeah, so the gym is like critical, because I tried it one other time when I didn't have the gym membership, and that second workout. So like I walk in the mornings for 45 minutes. So that's the easy thing.
I count that as a workout too.
Yeah, no, that's the first workout.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I'll walk a second time.
Wait, 45 minutes, is that what you said?
Yeah.
I thought you do like 3 miles a morning.
That's 3 miles.
How fast do you walk?
I walk 15-minute mile. Like around 50, like usually it's in the morning it's like 15 to 16. And then like if I walk a second time, sometimes I do a second walk during the day, but I can't do it too often because it's too much joint issues going on. But like sometimes I'll do a second. So that's like a little more like 16 to 18 minutes.
Maybe one day I'll join you on a walk.
Yeah.
Leave me in your dust.
It's super early though. So be ready. Once we do a later walk, we could do a later walk one day. Because I walk around here usually, like I'll leave the office and walk. But I found like when I did it before, I was like, what am I doing for this second workout? And I'm like, I can't walk every day twice because like it's just too much pounding on my ankles and my knees and hips and things. And so I finally rejoined a gym maybe 4 weeks ago. So now, and luckily I picked one that was like super close to my office, and literally that's what I picked it for. I'm like, I don't even like, and I like it because it's small and it's not super populated. So hopefully it doesn't get popular. I'm not going to tell anyone what it is. So I love it just because it's literally like a mile down the road or a mile and a half or something like that. And
so convenient.
Yeah. And so I get there, I can, because I didn't want to drive on the other side of Delray Beach because going through downtown is just like a nightmare to get through the traffic.
Like Frogger.
Yeah, because I've been members of the big box gyms and they're great for what they are, but like I have to drive bigger distances, and that's
And
usually
sometimes that
a
becomes the
barrier to
challenge
entry.
in itself.
That's a barrier to entry for
Yeah.
me. I'm like, I need the close. So now it's been easier because I can do the second workout. Either I schedule it in the afternoon and then I come back and work some more, or I wait until like 5 or 6 and it's not super crowded, which is 2 thumbs up. Because if you did that at one of these bigger gyms, that when we're main nameless right now, it's a challenge to get any of the equipment. You're like, okay, I can't wait for like 10 minutes to like get on this piece of equipment. Let me go find
Yeah.
something else. And they're like, oh, that
And
one's
then
taken
hopefully
either.
somebody sprayed it down and then.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Malaria
So
ensues.
this one's like super convenient. So it's been, knock on wood, because I'm on day 16 of 75. Knock on wood, it's been easier to do it. I find my biggest challenges are the weekends when I'm less scheduled. So it's like weird because like the more scheduled I am, then like I have to know when it fits.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm going to a friend's 5th anniversary of her company tonight at 5:30. And so I'm like, okay, I guess it's gonna be a later night workout, which I don't really like to do, but like that's the only place it could fit.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to be at least 3 hours apart. So I can't do like hour and a half workout.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, but that's part of the challenge. It's supposed to be more of a mental challenge. It's not just like a fitness challenge. It's a mental challenge of like making it inconvenient. So you have to like really think through, but it's actually made me more productive.
That's great.
In the last couple of weeks too. So that's like a fun benefit so far. We'll see after 75 days. I'm determined to make 75 days.
You got this. Totally got this.
Yeah. So the final question I'm going to ask before we wrap up is, if there was one thing if someone said, okay, I want to go out on my own to do something, whatever that is, and, or maybe they got laid off from a job and they're like, oh crap, what do I do now? Like, if there was one thing you could recommend to somebody that was just starting out, what would that be?
Just starting out? Just follow your gut. There's going to be a lot of people with opinions on what you should do or how you should do it, but you know what you're capable of and you know what your heart is telling you. And if you have a little voice in your head that's not the inner critic, that's kind of like this yearning, like, oh, I've always wanted to do this, perfect world, what would I do? Just do it. Just do it. Even if you don't know how to do it, just take a chance and follow your gut. Your gut will always tell you if this is right or if it's wrong. Just do it.
No, that's great advice, because I think many people figure out where the money is and they follow that. Mm-hmm. And then they don't, like we talked about earlier, they don't have the passion behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to do some research on whatever industry you're going in, just to see what, the paths are, and be open to, I find in business, you're always zigzagging as opposed to like, there's no real straight line.
There is not.
So
and
anyone
if
that
somebody
tells you
is
that,
telling you that there is,
yeah, forget it.
There is not. And maybe there's paths that are a little more worn and easier to follow, but they're not going to be, there's no straight highway.
No.
And but the important thing is that you get moving in the direction, because staying still under a tree writing out your plan, while it is important, the shade of a tree is sometimes so comforting that you fall asleep underneath of it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think, that taking action piece, which a lot of people in business get kind of paralyzed by, because there's so many different ways you can go. Yeah. So take action.
It's overwhelming.
Take small steps. I mean, small steps are better than 0 steps.
Yeah.
And that small gain every day is better than like 0 gains every day.
Somebody said this quote once before, and it has always stuck with me, because I love elephants so much. So I would never, ever eat an elephant. But how do you eat an elephant? Your task is so big. Yeah. One bite at a time. One bite at a time.
Actually, they don't eat elephants, do they?
I hope not.
It'd be tough meat.
I don't like eating meat.
Sorry, we digress. But yeah,
This was your final question.
Yes, that was my final question. So thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
This was the first interview of the Dream Plan Start Grow podcast. Stay tuned. Let me rephrase that. Stay tuned for the next one. And the next one's going to be another good one and kind of an outside the box marketing idea for his industry. So it's going to be an exciting one as well. And I look forward to seeing you or listening or having you listen to us then. Thanks for tuning in to the Dream Plan Start Grow podcast with Allison Turner. If you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. Join the Dream Plan Start Grow community by following us on Facebook or Instagram at Dream Plan Start Grow. See you in the next episode.